Hey, what's up guys, Gypsy, and we are back here today with ITL Week 2, going to be facing off against my boy Skyy this week in our Week 2 game. And Skyy's drafted a pretty powerful team. He's got Mega Gallade Weavile, which is a really well-known powerful core. And he's got big Zapdos, nice Metagross, a team that I'd really like to use, honestly. Like, this is the kind of thing I'd draft for sure. And he had some threats in the back and stuff like Nihilego. He's brought Slurpuff, which could be a number of things. I was really thinking it could be like a belly drum set. It's kind of annoying for a lot of teams to face, but it also could just be like a bulkier set. More than likely Rocks on Metagross if he has brought it. I think Metagross is going to be a bulkier variant to check stuff like Cure and Black, Megina, maybe like Cobra to lure Metagross, to lure my Tyranitar or something like that. But definitely a mon that I'm going to have to get out of the way before I can hope to put in work with Gear and Reuniclus. So yeah, definitely a strong team brought by Skyy. The team we're rocking with for this game is it's a pretty bulky team. We got like a bulky Rocks T-Tar with enough offensive investment to pose a threat to stuff like Zapdos, Metagross, Milotic even. And yeah, nothing really appreciates switching in on Tyranitar. Like Crunch is really nice versus his team, and Stone Edge obviously for the Slurpuff. But yeah, T-Tar is just really reliable. He also had Nihilego, so I could potentially trap that with T-Tar and pave the way for something like Torn to be able to put in work. But next up we have Torn. I'm a Z-Fly variant this week. It really is quite useful for guaranteeing the kill on stuff like Gallade. Means I don't have to risk missing Hurricane, and because Gallade is such a threat, like I'm quite bulky on this Torn, so I can always switch in, take a hit, and retaliate with the Z Hurricane if I need to. Knockoff and U-turn really clutch on this set because I'm able to knock off defensive items like potentially Flame Orb from Milotic, lefties from Zapdos like Assault Vests, Life Orb if he wants to go hard Weavile for some reason on Taunt, and then U-turn obviously just for that momentum. I have Taunt on this set too, which is really nice. He does have Blissey on his roster, and Blissey is a real issue if you can just repetitively softboil it up. So having Taunt on that really just shuts that thing down pretty nicely. Also can be used to shut down Milotic if the thing is just recover spamming versus me. So the next one we have is a pretty bulky defensive Megina. Really helps out versus the Weavile and the Gallade. Really kind of eases my team's matchup versus those two monsters. And I am carrying Volt Switch on this set, so I will be able to get momentum through the match. He doesn't have a ground type. He has a Donphan, but he hasn't brought it to this game. So yeah, having that Volt Switch is going to be really useful if I expect him to make a switch out to something like Metagross or even Milotic to be able to take on the beginner. So next we have Specs Keldeo, which pairs quite nicely with Megina. And you guys might be looking at Keld and thinking like, why do you have a Keldeo? But I dropped Azu last week and picked up Keldeo. During the initial draft I did want Keldeo, but Helmi picked it up and he actually dropped it after week 1, so I dropped Azu and grabbed Keld because it fits my squad a lot better than Azu does. Azu's an awesome mon, but it doesn't complement my team nearly as much as Keldeo does, so definitely happy to pick up Keld. It's a real asset to the team, and I think it's a pretty nice mon here. He has Milotic obviously, which if he's Flame Orb he can take Secret Swords pretty well, but it does put pressure on him nevertheless, and I can pivot in on stuff like Weavile's Dual Stab, Metagross going for Meteor Mash, something like that, and it threatens his team quite a lot with the choice specs. Then I have a Scarfed Adamant Curum, really nice to bail me out of situations versus Mega Gallade and Weavile, just being able to outspeed them and OHKO them with Adamant Outrage. Obviously it does invite in Metagross, but I'm probably going to be keeping Curum around to the late game once Metagross is weakened by attempting to check stuff like Megina and my Reuni and my Taunt. So I do have Shadow Claw on this set as well, so I am able to smack that thing for a big amount of damage depending on his spread. And then lastly we have a Carmine Reuniclus, pretty solid here, like just pretty nice. If I can get up enough Carmines I can kind of just win with Reuni if I play it right. So that is going to be the team breakdown. We're going to jump into this match here. I'm going to choose to lead with Torn because his potential leads are either Rocks Metagross. He might lead with Gallade, expecting me to lead with my Rocks T-Tar because that's my only rocker here. So leading Torn puts me in the best possible position I can be turn 1. I could have led with honestly like my Volt switching Megina, to be honest, but had he led with Metagross, I get more out of leading with Torn because I can always taunt that thing and knock him off. And that is what I'm going to do, as I do lead with Taunt and he leads with Milotic. So this is an interesting lead. I think he expected me to lead with Tita, or even potentially maybe my Kieran Black or something. But even like Taunt versus Milotic is an awful thing because Milotic has a ton of bulk. So I'm not gonna knock off here. Like, I was tempted to U-turn, right, or even knock off removing this thing's Flame Orb, but honestly, Flame Orb Milotic isn't a big deal to me. What's more important is not letting my Tornadus T get paralyzed by a potential static on Zapdos. And because Zapdos is such a nice Taunt switch in, I'm kind of expecting it to come in here. I don't expect it to stay in here with Milotic because I can so easily go for the Taunt or the Knock. And removing this thing's item makes it a lot easier for my team to take on. And I think he's going to want to preserve that, especially because I do have the Keldeo and the Tyranitar. Big offensive threats. Well, Keldeo with Sacred Sword, obviously. Secret Sword. But I'm expecting Skyy to go out to his Zap, and because I don't know if he's Pressure yet or Static, which makes more sense, like Static Zapdos versus Taunt T teams are obviously the Bring, capitalizing on U-turn from Taunt. And I want to learn his Zap first. I don't want to just assume that he's Pressure and then lose one of my best offensive checks, the Mega Gallade, because Gallade is a big threat. So I'm gonna make the hard switch out into my Tyranitar, expecting him to go Zap, and that is what Skyy ends up doing. He's gonna go hard out into his Zapdos here, and the Sandstorm reveals that he's not actually leftovers, which is interesting. So he didn't take Lefty's recovery there, so we know he's not a leftovers variant, meaning that he could be some sort of resist berry, potentially like Chardy or something for my Tyranitar, or maybe even he's like an offensive variant. He could also be Scarfed. So all this information is good to know. He's not lefties, and this is going to give me a chance to get my rocks up, as he is going to go into his Milotic and proc his Flame Orb. Definitely understand why he made that play. He wants to get that thing off as early as possible. But right now I'm going to go out to my Taunt here. Now the reason I go into Taunt, and I do get burnt, which looks like it sucks, but it's not like worst case scenario. If he Toxic Taunt, it probably would have been a little bit worse, but being burnt obviously means that I'm worn down quicker, but it also means that I can click U-turn freely. I no longer have to fear the static Zapdos, and when he switched in, he revealed not to be Pressure, so that implies that he is static, and that kind of reinforces that my playing to T-Tar turn 1 was the correct play. But now that I'm burnt, I don't really have to fear it, so it's not the end of the world that I got burnt. I'm going to be taking more residual, but there is definitely an upside to it. So this turn I believe I am going to I'm going to knock here. No, I'm going to U-turn. I'm going to U-turn out and go into my Megaguinea. I go into my Megaguinea because I can Volt on this thing, and I felt like he would recover here, scouting for my Z Hurricane, or just my Z move in general. But he's actually going to fire for another Scald and get the burn here on my Megaguinea, which this burn sucked. The burn on Taunt, not so much, because there was definitely an upside to it, preventing me from getting parried. But this burn here, definitely costly, because it's going to really, it's going to essentially mean that my leftovers do nothing. They stop me from taking burn damage, but I'm not getting healed at all. So that's definitely going to come into play in terms of Megaguinea being able to stick around longer in the match. So I'm going to Volt here as he just recovers up. I'm going to go back out into my Taunt. And this turn I think I do just go for the Taunt on this turn. Yeah, so I Taunt him here on the off chance that he wanted to go into Zapdos and potentially Defog. It also stops him going into Metagross and setting up his rocks of his own. So right here I'm gonna knock off as he reveals to be a Assault Vest, and he's gonna go for Medium Mash here, and he's gonna get the Raise, which is kind of scary. So he's revealed not to be very offensive. I think he's predominantly especially defensive, like max HP. But now that I've knocked off his Assault Vest, he's obviously going to be a lot easier to take down, but he just got an attack raise, and that is a threat. So right here, I'm going to hard switch out just in case he had Bullet Punch. I didn't want to risk him critting me with Bullet Punch and losing my Taunt. I'm going to go into my physically defensive Reuni, who should be able to take this on in theory pretty well. He does 44 with Meteor Mash, and I'm just going to start recovering up as he gets a second raise. It's like, damn, dude, this Metagross is getting out of control. So I'm going to have to go into my Keld here. He goes for Meteor Mash again and gets a third raise. So this man is just boosting up. Metagross is going crazy out here. So this is definitely unfortunate for me. And this means that I'm really going to have to sacrifice Keld here. He won't necessarily have Zen Headbutt, but a +3 Metagross's EQ is definitely taking out Keld, and he's going to have EQ for Megaguinea. So I am going to go for Scald here because I want to put him in range of where my Scarf Kyurem Shadow Ball can take him out. I don't want to risk my Taunt taking a +3 Bullet Punch, potentially dying from that. He might, for some reason, be faster than my Tyranitar, so I really have to put him in range of Shadow Claw from my Kyurem. Specs Hydro actually doesn't knock out Spadef Metagross from this range, which is crazy. So it is more in my interest to go for the Scald, get the guaranteed damage, and then revenge him with Kyurem, losing Keldeo in the process. But I am actually going to get a little bit of revenge hacks. I'm going to get a burn, which is pretty nice considering the 2 burns he's got and the all the raises he got. So ultimately, it's not going to like change it too much because I end up losing Keldeo anyway, as you're going to see in a sec. But had I not got the burn there, I would have died. Keldeo would have died to the EQ, and I would have brought in Kyurem. And if Skyy decided to stay in and Bullet Punch, he would have got about around 50% off versus my Kyurem, because I do have quite a lot of bulk on my set, and he would have lost his Metagross had he stayed in. Thankfully, like a bit of a spoiler, Kyurem doesn't end up needing HP to really do anything in this game. I think it doesn't end up dying, so it doesn't really end up mattering. But definitely, like, that burn obviously mattered in terms of Metagross taking down Keldeo. So I am going to revenge him. I am going to take him out here with the Scald as he does Bullet Punch me. And we live on 5, but Big Weavile's going to come in here, and I don't really want to sack anything off to the Weavile if I can help it. I want to preserve health on Megina if possible, because I am able to actually function as a win condition if I can play it correctly. So I'm going to go into Megina here, and he's actually going to reveal the Natural Gift, and he crits me. He crits me here, which I Volt here expecting Skyy to actually try and preserve the Weavile, because it's the only thing on his team that actually threatens my Taunt, that is faster than my Tornadus, presumably, and can threaten stuff like my Reuniclus, and might have low kick for Tyranitar. It's a real offensive threat to me at this point in the match, and I don't really expect him to preserve it, to sack it off here to the potential Flash Cannon or Fluid Cannon. Considering the fact that it already showed that I was a really bulky beginner based on the skull damage from Milotic and the fact that I'm lefties and that I've got Volt Switch, I felt like he was more than likely to preserve his Weavile there, but he does reveal the Natural Gift, and unfortunately he's going to crit me, which means that I won't be able to Pain Split up as easily on anything, because I won't be able to come in and take a hit before I Pain Split. So it's going to be really difficult to position Megina in a spot where it actually does something this game because of the crit. So kind of unfortunate, but it was just kind of the way this game was going. So both me and Skyy were obviously disappointed at this point in the game. So he's going to go out. I'm going to go into Kyurem Black here, and I am just going to fire off the Fusion Bolt, as I will be able to take out the Weavile, and I will be able to 2-echo anything that wants to come in, as he's going to go into his Slurp Buff, and I can't risk this thing being Belly Drum and not punishing it. I have to punish it. But he's actually going to go for the Wish, and my Fusion Bolt does 50, so it does a good amount, but enough where he can comfortably take it and protect up and scare me out with potential Fairy Stab. But he's going to reveal Wish Protect with the lefty, so he's obviously not like an offensive set, which means this is bulkier, and it's obviously going to be harder for me to take down. So I'm going to go into my Taunt here, and I taunt him on the Protect. I know that I can live any hit from him, as this turn I am going to U-turn out, expecting him to go out into a Zap. And this is going to allow me my Tyranitar again, which means I can fire off a nice Crunch here, I believe. I think I fire off a Crunch as he brings in his Milotic. And this is nice damage in conjunction with the Sand and the Fire and the Burn. So yeah, Milotic is nice and low, and at this point I want to bring in Reuni. I want to get it back to good health. I know that he's going to be forced to recover, and if I can get Reuni back to full health, I can potentially start setting up and win this game with Reuniclus. So I'm going to start Calm Minding as he starts firing off Scalds, and I Psyshock first just to gauge damage, to see how he wants to play his Milotic, in case he wanted to go and take a Gallade there and click Encore on my potential Calm Mind to recover. But he actually just ends up staying in and spamming Scald and clicking Recover, so I'm there at +1, and he's going to go for Scald this turn. I think this turn I Psyshock again, expecting, like, I'm just kind of aware of the fact that he could be Encore Gallade, and I want to catch that if he does want to make that kind of risky play into my Reuni. As now I'm going to get up to +2, And this turn I'm going to move first, which implies that he's Mirror Coat, and this is a really cool bring, definitely cool bring on Skyy's part. Being able to catch stuff like my Reuniclus and my Magina, definitely I like that bring a lot. But because I'm at +2 now, I'm out of range of a neutral Scald from his Milotic, so I will be able to just recover up as he also recovers. And it's going to be a bit of a stalemate because he does reveal Haze, which means I can't just spam Calm Mind until I get to +6 and take him out with like Psyshock. He's going to force me to eventually switch out because I don't want to lose all my PP, but this is really nice. Like I'm learning information about this Milotic, and I'm pretty much sure that my Taunt can take it on with Taunt and Z Hurricane if I need to. And I can also, threaten it with Kyurem. So the only way he wears down my Reuniclus is also by wasting his Scalds, which definitely benefits the rest of my team. So I'm going to go into my Taunt here, and I Taunt him this turn as he does just fire for another Scald. It was his best play, but this means that he can no longer recover and Haze, and that definitely serves the rest of my team well, because if he can only spam Scald, he's burning through his PP, which means that Reuniclus has a better chance of taking him on in the end game. So he's gonna actually go hard into Gallade here on my Taunt, which was a really ballsy play, because had I Hurricane there, like he obviously would have lost his Gallade. But Skyy makes a good play going out into Gallade, knowing that I was more than likely going to go for the U-turn there, and Gallade applies instant pressure to the rest of my team. So I go into my Kyurem here, and he actually stays in because he knows that he can live any Scarfed hit from Kyurem except for Outrage, and Outrage does a clean. It's pretty much an Oko on Adamant. Outrage is like an Oko on Gallade most of the time after like Rocks chips. So he I don't think he really thought about Outrage there, because it's not really a bring versus his team. He had some good reasoning as to why he didn't expect it. It just invites in stuff like Metagross and Slurpuff. So I definitely understand why he didn't expect it there, but it works out for me because I do take down Gallade, the biggest threat to my team, which is really useful. It takes a lot of pressure off T-Tar, because now if he goes into Zapdos, he can't make a fire double into Gallade expecting me to go T-Tar. And T-Tar really just looking in a nice spot to kind of just click its stabs and kind of wrap the game up now. So he's going to go into his Slurpuff. Obviously he is immune to the Outrage, and I am locked in. He's going to reveal Draining Kiss, which is good to know. So I'm going to go out to my Taunt here. He's a Wish Protect, Draining Kiss at this point. That's all I do know. And I think I go for Knock Off this turn, removing Zapdos' item, because I still don't know what it is. And he reveals to be Magnet, so he's an offensive Zapdos, presumably. And this is going to give me my T-Tar again, because T-Tar really doesn't care about even an offensive Zapdos. I take 17 from that, which is crazy. So Zapdos has the same special attack as Hydreigon, to put it into perspective. So yeah, big T-Tar is nice and bulky. So he's going to go into Milotic here and get 2-KO by the Stone Edge, which is nice because now Reuniclus can just win if I get it in on the Slurpuff, barring Paras from the Zapdos. So he's going to Wish Up here, and I think this turn I Taunt here. No, I Knock Off. I knock off his lefties, and that's going to be nice, because less recovery for this thing is obviously important. And I'm going to Taunt him here, preventing him from wishing up further, but he's just going to make the Draining Kiss play. And Taunt can always pivot in on this thing. I can always switch out back into my Reuni and recover up, then go back out to Taunt, get the regen. So it's a pretty tough spot for Skyy at this point, and I can potentially win here with Calm Mind, but he's actually going to reveal the Yawn, which is really clean prep. I like this a lot. I think this is really nice to set up on stuff like Magina, because Magina would usually set up in the face of Slurpuff. So to have Yawn on that, really nice bring in my opinion. So I'm gonna go out to Taunt here as he wishes up. I think this turn I do just go for the U-turn as he brings in his Zapdos, and I can go back out into my Tyranitar. And I believe I fire for Stone Edge here, as he does just go for the Discharge, doesn't get the Para, and Stone Edge is going to take out the Zapdos. And this leaves him with Slurpuff. And yeah, there's not a whole lot the Slurpuff can do to T-Tar. I don't think Draining Kiss will be doing over 20%. So I'm going to go into my Taunt here on his Protect, and I think I just Taunt this following turn, as this is going to stop him obviously from wishing up. And yeah, so that's going to be the game here, because Taunt's just going to be able to click Z Hurricane into Hurricane and take out the Slurpuff. Taunt obviously preventing him from healing up. So if if I missed all my Hurricanes, another Mon would do it. And yeah, that's going to be week 2 of the ITL. Lots of annoying sort of frustrations in this game with the early burns on my Mons and then the burn on Metagross. Definitely sucked for Skyy, but as you can see, Kyurem kind of didn't really have that much of an impact on the game, which was nice. I guess like had Kyurem being really low to the point where like a non-burnt Metagross would have just bullet punched it, that would have been really significant. That would have sucked, but thankfully Kyurem was not too big of a player in this game. It was more Torn and Tita really pulled their weight, really doing it big for the team. But that's going to be week 2 versus Skyy. If you guys did enjoy, Skyy's a really good player and a guy I enjoy playing in the ITL. So it was a shame for this game to be kind of tainted a little bit by hacks, but I'm hoping that we get a chance to face in playoffs. I definitely think he's got the team and the skill to do it, so wouldn't be surprised to see Skyy appear in playoffs, and hopefully we'll get another chance to face him. I know we both met a couple of teams for this game, and he felt like the other team he made would have matched up a lot better here, and I kind of felt the same, so it'll be interesting to see the result when we do clash next. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like if you did, and let me know what you guys thought of the match in the comments, and I'll catch you guys next time.